YouTube, and welcome to episode 3 of my Escape from Alcatraz training vlog. Today I'll be talking about resistance training, but first I'll go over what's been going on in the previous week of my training. So I'm currently on week 2. So I had a pretty good swim workout earlier this week that went surprisingly well, actually. I had a decent run. I haven't been running very much, so I think it's going to take me some time to really adapt to that. But got a decent threshold run in, decent strength session. Rest day is going great. Thursday, I got a pretty good Zwift workout in, so I'm just going to keep doing those and kind of keep it fairly easy but challenging. My long swim was last night. I did that after work at our apartment pool, which is pretty nice. It's not 25 meters, but it's long enough to swim laps in for like 40, 45 minutes, something like that. And then I got my run and lower body workout in today a little while ago, and those went pretty well. I got about almost 45 minutes of zone 2-ish training in, which is kind of what I'm going to stick to for my long runs. And then the leg workout went pretty well. I'll talk about that during the training as well as the upper body strength training. And tomorrow I'll be doing a long, probably outdoor cycle. Now we'll jump into the resistance training. So as you can see from my schedule, it's split into 2 different 30-ish minute strength sessions. So it's going to be an upper body, lower body split. So first I'll talk a little bit about the purpose of the split and the purpose of the training. So since I am training specifically for the triathlon, the main thing that I want to be training right now is swimming, biking, and running, because really the only way to get good at doing something is to do it. So that's why the bulk of this 12-week prep is mostly swimming, biking, and running. And the purpose of the strength training for the next 12 weeks is, as I said before, injury prevention. So as you can see, there's not really a whole lot of like heavy lifting going on, and I'm going pretty light on the weights also, and we've got some band work in there. So not something that's very taxing on the central nervous system. Like I said, this training is mainly for injury prevention. Research has shown that resistance training is the best way to prevent injuries long term, which is something that I really want to try to do because I don't want that to stop me from training. And while I am only doing 2 days of resistance training right now, I spent about 6 months in 2 different phases getting ready for this 12-week prep. As you can see, there's kind of some explanations as to why you're doing the things over here on the right. The exercises are going to be on the left, along with the reps, the sets, and then how long you're supposed to rest in between. And I'm not using exactly this. I am kind of adapting it a little bit to mine because honestly, I don't think I could do this whole workout in about 30 minutes. It'd probably take like an hour or so. So the first thing we're doing on upper body day is some passive hanging or brachiating. And that's essentially me just hanging on the bar with my shoulder girdle kind of relaxed. So that's to stretch out the arms and get good blood flow in there. And again, research has shown this is very beneficial for the body. And we just hang for about 60 seconds, which is actually quite a long time to hang. And sometimes I can't hang for the 60 seconds. So I just do about 30 to 45 seconds or so. Do that for 3 sets for about 90 seconds of rest. And this is going to fall into the category of rehab/prehab. So that's kind of getting you ready for the workout. It's like stretching out the joints and the tendons. It's not really resistance training. You're not really pushing anything or building the muscle. You're just kind of rehabbing, prehabbing it. So you're doing some good stuff for the body. The next thing is scapula pull-ups. So that's pretty similar to the passive hanging or brachiating, except this time you are contracting your scapula in, and that's the only thing you're doing. So it looks kind of like a pull-up, but you're only doing scapula pulls. And you do those for 10 reps with about 3 sets and 90 seconds of rest. Again, that's some prehab and rehab, so you're kind of stretching that scapula and helping improve that part of the shoulder, which does help, especially a lot with like the swim, since you are doing a lot of shoulder rotation. Having a strong scapula and a solid, stable scapula is really important. The next thing is overhead medicine ball slams. I don't do those because I personally find it kind of annoying when someone's slamming a medicine ball in the gym next to me. So I don't really want to be that guy. Honestly, if I was alone, I would do it because I think it's a good workout. Or maybe like sledgehammer on a tire, some just kind of downward force movement like that that's kind of like strength and speed based. So I sometimes just replace that with maybe some battle rope work or something like that. So kind of similar to the same motion, but most of the time I just cut it out entirely because it's kind of hard to do in like a commercial gym or something like that. The next thing is overhand weighted pull-ups. I can't do weighted pull-ups because I'm not that strong, but I just do regular pull-ups for about 8 to 10 reps, and 8 to 10 reps of pull-ups is pretty hard, honestly. So I usually can only do about 8. Sometimes I can really only get about 6, but like strength training isn't really the point of this. So I just kind of do what I feel comfortable doing and don't try to push myself too hard. And that's for 3 sets with about 90 seconds of rest again. And then that is in the strength speed training category. So that's kind of getting the body a little bit faster and just a little bit stronger, essentially. So we're not really rehabbing the body anymore. We're kind of building it up and getting it faster and kind of snappy, because that's what we want in the race. We want to be snappy. And then we'll start to get into a little bit of the band workout as we finish kind of the pull movements of this upper body day. So it's band resisted single arm rows, but I usually don't use a band on this just because it's kind of hard to set up and kind of hard to keep the band in position. So I usually just do single arm rows, and that's just for a very low kind of strength oriented rep range of 4 to 6 for 3 reps, and then again a 90-second rest. And then we go into a push section for the rest of the workout. So we go with scapula push-ups, and that's similar to the scapula pull-ups. You're training the scapula, but for a pushing motion rather than a pulling motion. And then we're doing 10 reps, 3 sets for that. And like I said, that's kind of the prehab rehab part, just like the scapula pull-ups. Then we have plyometric push-ups. So this is 5 reps and 3 sets. And those are basically like the push-up claps that you see people doing usually. Again, I kind of try not to clap because I feel like that's annoying. And that is for speed. So again, you're pushing. It's kind of an explosive movement. So again, think like snappy. And then the last two, we have some more band work. So you have band resisted push-ups, which I didn't get a shot of me doing those because I forgot to bring my band to the apartment gym. But essentially, you put a band around your back and still do the push-up. So you're training the very top part of that push-up. And then after that, we have band resisted tricep pushdown. So these essentially look like a regular tricep pushdown, only you do them with the bands. So it gets very hard at the very end of the workout when you're kind of locking out, essentially. This is kind of peak power. So you're really trying to be explosive with the tricep pushdowns, because if you go slow, it actually does get kind of hard at the very end of the pushdown. And as I said, it is kind of hard to get this workout done in 30 minutes. I usually spend about 45 minutes in there, and I kind of shorten the rest just a little bit because I do these with pretty light weights for the most part. So like I said, this is just supposed to be pretty easy on my body. This is really meant for more of a peak training phase rather than a triathlon specifically. So that's why I've altered it a little bit. Next, we'll talk about the lower body part of the routine, the second strength training day. And as you might notice, this is kind of like a lower body slash core day. So it's kind of about core stability and leg strength or explosiveness. So this is a pretty short day, which makes sense for the type of training that I'm doing because I am doing a lot of running and cycling already. So I am kind of using my legs quite a bit as is. So the first thing we have is box jumps, which if I have a box available, I'll do those. If I don't have a box available, I'll do these kneeling squat jumps, which is pretty similar to a box jump. You do get the explosiveness, and you also kind of train the upper part of the quad that connects to the pelvis, which is very important in cycling. So I think that's a pretty beneficial movement, and I base that on absolutely nothing other than my own opinion. And I do that for about 5 to 7 reps for 3 sets with 120 seconds of rest. So there's a lot of rest at the beginning of this one. I usually don't rest that long right now while I'm training just because I'm trying to keep these workouts pretty short. The next thing I do is single arm dumbbell side lunge and touch, which is essentially these like kind of wide-legged side lunges where you touch the dumbbell to the ground, and just 10 reps of these for 3 sets. And that's a stability, strength, posture, and body position exercise. It is pretty hard on all the muscle groups because you're not really standing in a very stable position, and you have to keep your back kind of straight and touch the ground, and it works your quads, your hamstrings, your calves. It works a lot of different muscle groups at the same time, so it kind of helps with your stability and body posture, which is really important when you're running. For one thing, you want to keep a tight core while you're running. Then we get into kind of some more core stability work. So we have battle rope wrestler throws. And I usually don't do those again because they just look kind of weird in the gym, and also battle rope isn't always available. So I'll actually just do some side twists with a weighted ball. Usually what I do is some good core stability work also, so I feel like that's a pretty good substitute. Then next we move on to stability ball log rolls, and these are actually deceptively difficult. They don't look like they're very hard, and I didn't think they were hard looking at the pictures whenever I first did them, but it is pretty hard to stabilize your core when you're doing these. So just 60 seconds of doing this is a pretty hard workout actually, and I feel like it does work kind of your whole core because you're doing twisting, so you're working your obliques, your upper abs, your lower abs, and you can make it more difficult by how far you put the ball away from you. Next we have pull off, hold, and press, where you pretty much just pull a cable with a handle out to about your waist, wherever your hands would be when your elbows are at a 90-degree angle, and then you press it out in front of you and hold it right there. And these also are deceptively difficult. I actually had to lower the weight a few times the first time I did it, and you can probably see me in this video struggling a little bit towards the end to actually keep the cable in position, and I have to keep pressing it out further away from me too. So again, a really good strength and posture workout here. And that's pretty much the whole lower body workout. Again, not much lower body work because I am doing a lot of that already. It's a lot of core strengthening, which is very important for most of the disciplines. It's important for the swim and the run mainly, but also for the bike because you do kind of have to sit in the same position on the bike for quite a while. So that wraps it up for the resistance training episode. Over the next 3 episodes, I'll be breaking down each discipline into one separate episode. So one for running, one for cycling, one for swimming, and essentially just kind of go over each one of those things, how I train for those things, how difficult they've been for me personally, and kind of a few maybe tidbits or advice that I've learned in each one of the events. So stay tuned for that. If you have any questions or maybe want me to do an episode that goes more in depth into this training or any of the other phases that I did in the 6 months building up to this, let me know in the comments section, and I'll see you next time. So the first thing we have is box jumps, which if I have a box available, I'll do those, but if not, I'll do these. Look up what that is.